बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। नहमदुहु नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम। Respected chairman of this function, Janab M.I. Abdul Aziz Sahab, chief guest Mr. Salman Sayyid, our friend Mr. Kutil Muhammad Ali, director IPH, other honorable guests of this function, Mr. E.T. Muhammad Bashir, Member of Parliament, Mr. D.C. Ravi, Mr. Kartikayan, Mr. O. Abdur Rahman, and Karakunnu Sheikh Muhammad Sahab, and other participants, ladies and gentlemen. I express my sincere greetings on this happy occasion of the Diamond Jubilee of Islamic Publishing House, Kerala, Calicut. The Islamic Publishing House, IPH, has done remarkable work in its 75 years journey. It has enriched the Malayalam language with Islamic literature and conveyed Islam's message of peace, tranquility, and justice to millions of human beings. May Allah Almighty accept the services of all the founders and the other elders and friends who have played a role in making IPH an important and influential institution. May Allah further develop this institution in the years to come and grants it success in spreading the great message of Islam. The main work of Islamic Publishing House is intellectual and ideological work. It has translated and published many books, translated from Urdu, English, and Arabic, and has also published some original, important, and seminal works in Malayalam. Now, some IPH books are being translated into Urdu and English, and perhaps even in Arabic also. In this way, it is as if IPH has made Malayalam one of the source languages of Islamic scholarship. So we expect some path-breaking works in Islamic research in Malayalam under IPH in the coming years of its journey, inshallah. Taking this opportunity, I would like to dwell on some of the intellectual challenges that confront Islam and Islamic thought today. The nature of the Islamic movement makes intellectual capital as its most important asset. The essence of our work is basically intellectual and ideological. We will have to struggle on the ideological front for a long time in this country. Maulana Maududi has made it clear at the outset that if Islam is to guide the world affairs, then the only way for it is to produce thinkers and research scholars who, by following the Quranic way of thinking, will look at the past as well as search for new facts to develop a new system of philosophy that is extracted from pure Islamic thought. So, the work of research and discovery is our most important work, and the domain of ideology and intellectual work is our most important front. This work is the lifeline for any ideological intellectual movement. This work is not merely one of the many important works for us, but our entire progress and regression, our life and death depends on this fundamental work. Intellectual and ideological movements do not wither away due to the differences and lack of resources, nor do they weaken because of the oppression of their enemies, but they fade away due to intellectual retreat or intellectual stagnation. That is why this intellectual work is a lifeline for us. So, just as it is important for us to evaluate and plan for the expansion and consolidation of the organization and the organizational requirements, it is also important for us to undertake a serious assessment of the real situation of our intellectual assets. We must make it a topic of discussion and debate. To understand the challenges facing Islam and Islamic thought today, it is necessary to first have an overview of the main characteristics of our age today. The way to analyze contemporary times in terms of its challenges and problems is to look at the future. We should try to project and try to see what kind of future we are going to face. In this context, when we look at the world, it is clear that we are not living in an era of small changes, but we are about to confront huge, far-reaching, comprehensive, and very rapid changes. The revolution that will result from the combination of biotech and infotech will be a universal revolution, and it is being predicted that the resulting social, political, cultural, and moral changes will be far more complex and comprehensive than those brought about by the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution gave humans extraordinary control over nature and natural resources, while this biotech and infotech revolution is expected to provide us control over human internal systems, over human brain, over human nervous system. Even human ideas are being overshadowed by machines. We are rapidly moving towards a world where big data will become the biggest cultural force and will enable us to monitor and control every single activity, every single moment of human life, where governance and big decisions will be made by algorithms, and as a result will pave the way for algocracy, and going further create algorithmic dictatorships. That is also being predicted. The revolution of augmented reality is not far away, that will give the media extraordinary control over human thoughts and ideas. An era where blockchain will transform finance, financial systems, and all known methods of transaction and trade, and where every little step of man will depend on machines and will be controlled by artificial intelligence. So, in this situation, there can be no doubt that in this new world, everything from the past, from the modern age, the post-industrial age, is becoming irrelevant. Those who have watched those technological revolutions know very well that situation is not far off. And the recent corona pandemic has brought this situation closer. Many of these challenges have already come a long way and are unknowingly affecting the lives of all of us. Freedom, democracy, sovereignty of countries, privacy, and countless other values that ruled the 20th century and which modern era and modern man was proud of. All these values are now rapidly dissolving in the heat of technology. The Industrial Revolution created an environmental crisis. This crisis is still a serious problem for humanity. But now that technology has reached the very depths of the human brain, the human nerves, and the human soul, it is impossible to imagine what crisis the human ecosystem will face as a result of this. So, in these circumstances, the world will of course need a new system and new values. The renowned futurist Yuval Noah Harari wrote a famous book, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. So, in this book, the title of the first chapter, he has given the title Disillusionment. So, while reviewing the last century, the author says that before the Second World War, the world was grappling with three major ideologies, namely fascism, communism, and liberalism. Around 1939, these three ideologies were engaged in a struggle, dreaming of dominating the world. After World War II, fascism disappeared from the world stage. Then we had only two ideologies. By 1991, communism also disappeared, and only liberal democracy remained on the world stage. And many proponents and supporters of liberal democracy, they started predicting the end of history. But events such as the financial crisis of 2008, the election of Trump in 2016, the Brexit, and now corona pandemic and its aftermath, all these events have finally taken liberal democracy off the world stage. And now at the dawn of 2021, there arose a situation that all worldviews departed from the world, and there emerged a new world looking for a new global ideology. The corona pandemic has further augmented the fall of liberal capitalism and has intensified the need of a new ideology. What will be this new worldview? In this regard, it is now widely accepted that religion and religious values will play an important role in its formulation. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair said a few years ago that religion and religious belief would have same central importance in the 21st century as political ideology did in 20th century, and that only religion can provide the values that the world is looking for. To quote him, I am quoting, religious faith will be of the same significance to the 21st century as political ideology was to the 20th century, unquote. Scott M. Thomas, a well-known author and scholar on international affairs, claims in his book, The Global Resurgence of the Religion, that religion and religious belief will be the soul of the new world in the 21st century. The 20th century will prove to be the last modern century. It means that the ideas that govern the post-industrial modern era will become irrelevant in the 21st century. I have quoted these two references as examples. Numerous such references can be given. The need for religion, religious belief, and religious values are now acutely felt in all walks of life. The new world we are rapidly moving towards will not be able to function without deep spirituality and a strong religious foundation. Dear brothers and sisters, on the one hand, there is the growing importance of religion, and on the other hand, there is rapid decline of various world religions. This is not the occasion to analyze the decline, but there is ample evidence that various world religions have lost their souls over the centuries in the face of modernity and modern Western civilization. Now, what remains is either Islam or various semi-religious spiritual philosophies and movements. Islam withstood the storm of modernity because of its clear beliefs and very strong foundations. Over the past centuries, it has been accused of being fundamentalist because of this feature, but the fact is that this feature of Islam is proving to be its greatest strength today. And as the complexities of the 21st century present new challenges to human life, this steadiness of Islam will provide the means to meet the greatest need of the world, that is, the need of some permanent and well-founded value system, inshallah. This situation is both a great opportunity and a great challenge for the followers of Islam. The characteristic of Islam is that its values are not based on unsustainable foundations of social and historical conditions. No matter how strong these foundations are, they cannot compete with the powerful waves of modern civilization and colonialism. The values of Islam are based on very strong beliefs. A prominent example of this in recent times is family and family life. Modernity, particularly in Western Hemisphere, has destroyed the foundations of family system. The collapse of the family affected many aspects of human life, and societies around the world have been affected by this storm. But if a Muslim society protects the values of family life, it is not only because the ancient traditions of that society demand so, but more importantly, it is so because the society strongly believes that these are the commandments of God, commandments of Allah, over which it has no authority for any modification. It is this strong faith that can withstand the storm that has risen from the centers of modernity and is now determined to destroy the traditional structures of the whole world. That is why we say that the last refuge of the family and family system is Islam. So, to address these problems, we need serious Islamic literature on various topics. The need for a new Ilmul Kalam, that is the science of discourse, has been espoused by many intellectuals in recent times. Using renowned academic tools of the modern age, we need books, academic papers on Islam to be published. The Islamic concept of eternal values, women's status in Islam, Islam's family laws, Islam's views about non-Muslims, concept of jihad. So these are some of those issues, core topics that form the basis for a negative public opinion against Islam. Until and unless we are successful in initiating serious academic discourse of high quality on these topics, we cannot veer public opinion in a positive direction. Along with this defensive and reactionary discourse, it is also important, but in addition to this, it is necessary to prepare modern literature on serious academic lines, which would empathetically and with complete conviction present Islamic beliefs and the merits and rationale of Islamic values and lifestyle vis-a-vis the issues plaguing contemporary society. At this hour, our country is faced with a spree of problems. Various solutions are being presented and they are being debated. We need to participate in this exercise with a firm conviction and determination, and offer ample contributions in formulating ideas. If we ponder over the issues, employing a creative approach while keeping in mind the spirit of Islam and the nature and objectives of Islam and Islamic Sharia, then Muslims can present many ideas related to developmental policy, economic system, environment, education, interfaith relation, communal relations, family, lifestyle, and many such other issues and areas. So I have enlisted some of the important challenges that Islamic thought is facing with the challenging times. Due to all these circumstances, there is an urgent need for Islamic thought to form a new narrative that is in tune with the changing conditions. This narrative should be consistent with the new situation and have an ijtihadi spirit, and should be free from the apologetic style which is currently being used in the name of so-called moderate Islam. We need to come out with convincing and path-breaking academic work on all these domains in a moderate manner, but without any apologetic style. I hope Islamic Publishing House in coming future will play a very important role and will become a pivotal contributor. May Allah enable all of us to fulfill our responsibilities. I once again congratulate and express my heartiest greetings to all the office bearers, staff members, and people associated with Islamic Publishing House. and wish them a better and more successful future. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.